Hey guys, let's talk about this week's episode of Masters of Sex. And it was a good episode. It wasn't my favorite, but there was a lot going on, so let's get to it. So, Bill and Virginia are still at it with their study, and this time they want to see if they can actually get some video footage of what is going on down below. So they get a gentleman that Bill has used in the past to use pretty much like the vibrator that they've been using and see if they can use the camera lens and put in an actual video so that can record footage. So he does this and everyone's pretty excited about it. And of course, the guy who's doing this, he is kind of blown away by what he's being asked to do. And when he actually has to watch to see if it works, he's so like embarrassed and flustered, and it's a funny scene. But Bill and Virginia seem to be moving along, and their relationship is getting closer. However, Virginia has been taking a class by the female doctor that also works at the hospital, and her name is Lillian DePaul. And she hasn't been very nice to Virginia in the past. She's pretty much like resents the fact that she can get away with her sexuality, and she hasn't really proven herself to be a doctor, but people respect her nonetheless. And this really gets under DePaul's skin, and she has no qualms of like telling Virginia this. So Virginia has been taking one of her anatomy classes, and she's the only female in the class, and she's actually really good in the class. And where all these guys seem to be blushing and fainting in these classes and don't even really know the answers to a lot of the questions, Virginia is. And I mean, that kind of annoys me about the show a little bit, is that Virginia can do no wrong. You know what I mean? Like, she's got everything going for her right now. She's beautiful. She gets along with Masters. She's good with her kids, but it seems like she's always like, oh, I've got the answer. Oh, I can cut stem to sternum. She has no problems with anything. And that gets to me a little bit, because I'm like, she doesn't need to be perfect. She does need to be a little bit flawed, okay? So anyway, she's taking this course, and Bill finds out, and he finds out by Lillian. And Lillian wants to do a pilot project on cervical cancer. And it turns out that she's going to need a lot of funding for it, and she's asking Bill for his help. And in exchange, Bill goes to her and asks her that if Virginia wants to take another course with her, that she should tell him, because she has a little too much on her plate. So in other words, Bill is trying to cock block on Virginia for getting her studies done, pretty much in fear that if she does really well, she might not need him anymore. And this annoys me. I'm like, I'm sorry, you cannot go behind her back and try to sabotage her education. Like that, I did not like that at all. And that is what Bill was up to. So at the end of the day, the video footage was really great, and they're looking at it, and Virginia looks at him and she's like, I cannot believe you're getting aroused by this video footage. He's like, I'm not. It's just the fact that you and I are the only two people who have ever seen anything like this. And he's all giddy and he's excited, and it's sort of a moment that the two of them share together. And I'd really like the moment if it wasn't clouded in the fact that he's basically trying to keep her all to himself. Bill, I got my eye on you. I'm not liking that. So then we have his wife, Libby. And, she's been so neglected at home. Yes, in the last episode, he went home and had sex with her, but it was pretty much just so that he could continue having sex with Virginia. They've got issues. And so, in this episode, she's like looking at the TV and she's trying to learn how to dance. And they've just hired a handyman named Walter, who's doing some stuff in there with the gutters, and he sees her dancing by herself. So he comes in and he's done his job, and then he ends up teaching her how to dance. And she's like, oh, well, you could become my dance teacher. And he's kind of like, no. Did I forget to mention that Walter is black? And this is like the 1950s. So, yeah. We don't really know where this is going to go. But they do have quite the connection. And she doesn't seem to be nervous or scared around him. And he does seem reluctant to, want to be doing any kind of dancing with her, but they do, and then they have a nice scene at the end where they're dancing, and then he twirls her and he dips her, and then she faints, and then he takes her to the hospital, and it turns out she's pregnant again. So here we go again. But as we know, this show is based on a true story, and we know that at this point Bill and Libby will have had 2 kids together before he ends up, doing whatever it is he does with Virginia. So, if they're trying to keep the story accurate, then that is again why they're going to have her get pregnant so quickly after she loses the last one. But it was interesting to see, just the separation between the two of them. She needs attention, and she's getting it from this man, Walter, who's teaching her how to dance. And it's a really cute scene between the two of them, but obviously it's going to create problems between her and Bill. Then we have Austin and Margaret. Now, in last week's episode, those two were getting quite hot and heavy, but then Margaret pretty much said how excited she was that she had him in her life and that she wants to tell everybody about him, and this freaked him out. So at the start of this episode, they have this scene where I guess they were supposed to go off somewhere and take a vacation somewhere, and she sees him like returning the ticket. So she quickly changes her mind and she says to him, "Listen, I've been thinking this probably isn't the best time for us to go away," and blah, 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 blah. And he's all like, "Oh, okay, good. Yeah, if this is how you feel." And it's kind of like, be a man and at least say, "Yeah, you know what? I'm not feeling this anymore. This was just a booty call and I'm out." But no, he basically lets her act as though she's, ending this relationship when he really wanted to as well. And it's just like, whatever. He is just a horn dog and he's a horrible husband. He's got 3 kids at home and he basically is now off cheating with some jewelry, some girl that worked at a jewelry store because this man cannot keep it in his pants. And then at the end, he goes up to Virginia and says he wants to be back in the study. I mean, already we've seen this man having sex with like 3 people and probably more, 4 or 5 at least, and now he's gonna be back in the study. He's just disgusting. So, and then he's all in Ethan's ear talking about, "Oh, women, you don't want to get married because they cause you nothing but problems," pretty much. And then Ethan's like, "Well, listen, your wife seems to have stuck around for all of your bad behavior, so clearly what I need to do is get a wife and be married because she will stick with me through everything." And earlier on in the episode, his girlfriend Vivian is at his house, and she's singing "Love and Marriage," and she's in the kitchen, and he's like walking in, looking at her, and he's realizing like she is anticipating the next step. And this is another scene that annoyed me very much because he's like, "Oh, I want to take you out for dinner." She's like, "Where are we going?" And then she pretty much like ruins the whole surprise. And because she's so frantic about, "Oh my God, do I need to dress like this? Do I need to do that? Do I need to get a manicure? Do I need to do this? Blah, blah, blah." And then she basically like proposes to herself because she's like, "What color is the ring? What does it look like?" Blah, blah, blah. He's like, "I don't know." And he takes it out and then she's like, "Oh my God, yes." And so he didn't even ask her. But she's just this giddy girl, and it just, again, goes, can you calm down? These women on this show, at least in this episode, were driving me crazy. Between Lillian being like a total biatch to Vivian, and like, the fact that she's jealous of this other woman who's smart, but, she doesn't feel that she deserves to be getting the respect that she gets, to, Vivian, the way she was acting, and then even Virginia was like annoying me just a little bit in this episode. But it's just like, can we not have these women be so like stereotypical, please? Oh, it just was driving me crazy. So, now Vivian is engaged to Ethan by her own doing pretty much. And that just seemed like it happened so fast. So I'm not even sure where that is going, but it happened and we just have to deal with it. So then that leads us to the provost and his wife, Margaret. And like I said, she basically broke it off with Austin because she knew that the writing was on the wall with that relationship, that it was pretty much over. And then she's sitting at the bar and she's having a drink and she talks to this gentleman. And this gentleman is the same one who her husband has been sleeping with for the last few episodes. And there's this very awkward moment where he turns to leave and says, "Okay, bye," like as if his guest has come, and she turns and it's her husband. So she's staring at her husband, she's staring at the guy that she just met, and she's putting 2 and 2 together like that he's there to meet him. The husband lies and said that he has been hooking him up with hookers and that he's been dating prostitutes. And the wife obviously knows that something is going on. And she even says to him, "Listen, you walked in on me while I was standing in the bathroom fully naked and you didn't even look at my body. Like, obviously, you do not want me. So stop acting as if you do." And now the provost is off trying to take some like miracle medicine that is going to turn him off of men and make him feel disgusted anytime he sees a man like doing any kind of sexual business. And it's this really heartbreaking scene between him and this guy because this guy you know, he enjoys the provost's company, and he's basically like, listen, I'm just paying you for sex, and there's no way in the world that if I wasn't paying you that the two of us would be together anyway. And you can see that this is breaking his heart, and he says to him, listen, if I want a man to stand in front of me and throw up, if I want anybody to stand in front of me and throw up, I'll go home to see my parents. He's like, I don't need somebody else to treat me like crap or pay somebody to treat me like crap. And it's just this really heartbreaking scene. And he's like, I hope you will not do this to yourself, and pretty much just learn to love who you are, and who you are is gay, and you just need to deal with it. And it's this really heartbreaking scene. And then he storms out, and, you know, the provost is just sitting there on the bed, and, you know, what can he say? Like, he feels disgusted by himself, but this is the reality. You are who you are at this point. And, you know, taking some medicine to make you turn off of being gay is just not going to happen. So that was a heartbreaking scene to watch. But you know, I guess that's what needed to be done. So, you know, all in all, the episode was just okay for me. Like, it wasn't amazing. I thought last week's episode was far a stronger episode. But, you know, this series is very fascinating to me. So I enjoy it no matter what. And the studies that they're doing, and, you know, how they're inching closer and closer to, you know, breakthrough with this study, and the relationship that's going to happen between Virginia and Bill is always fascinating to watch. So all in all, it was a pretty decent episode, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. All right, guys, that is my review, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.